try and earn your first few $100 on Solana by contributing to some project. Meet as many people as you can. All right, welcome folks. I'm going to give you all a chance to introduce yourself as flatteringly as our friend introduced me. So be max bullish about yourself and tell everybody what you do. Starting with you, Prakash, you want to go?
Hi,
if it's not bullish, I'm going to just like stop you and make you go up, okay? A notch. Okay, let's go.
Hi, I'm Dr. Prakash, co-founder of Decharge. I've been in the Web3 space for quite some time, starting out with Solana Super team in general, 3 years back, and I've been in the crypto space thanks to grants, investments, and opportunities that I've found along the way.
Hi, my name is Mario. I work for the Pyth Data Association and a contributor to the Pyth network. I'm mainly focused on the Asia side of the BD side of things, and yeah, looking forward to the panel.
Hey everyone, my name is Shihua. I'm at the Solana Foundation on the capital team, focused on managing our grants program and also working on other capital initiatives that we think would benefit the Solana ecosystem. Been at the foundation for over a year now, but have been in crypto since 2017.
All right, excellent. Well, welcome to our distinguished guests. I think the best use of the time for the folks here is to learn how you can get the first few $100, few $1,000, or a few tens of thousands of dollars, depending on what you're doing. If you're an individual contributor, then you probably want to earn your first few $100 trying to contribute to open source projects to get into the ecosystem. We'll learn about that from Prakash. If you're trying to win a grant and become a core contributor to a Solana protocol, I think we should talk about Pyth in the context of that. And if you want a larger grant where there are blind spots in the Solana ecosystem that are currently not being filled, we can talk to Shihua about that. Is that good? All right. Gentlemen, starting with Prakash, can you talk through your experience earning your first crypto and how that influenced where you are today?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Around like 3-4 years back, starting out with Ethereum, one interesting thing that Naval talks about is whatever gas fee you incur on spending in the crypto ecosystem, take it like a tuition fee. So me and a few other friends, we were like pretty much open to paying like hundreds of dollars just purely on gas fee because we want to take that as an entry fee to the crypto ecosystem. That helped us get into a lot of working groups, but that didn't necessarily give us that gravitational shift that we wanted in crypto specifically. Fortunately, Solana ecosystem was just starting out, and when we realized, okay, gas fee is just like $1, that gave us even more impetus to kind of grow in the ecosystem. So got my hands dirty a little bit, hacking on. I've been hacking on a few Ethereum ecosystem projects as well, especially on Polygon. Then started out with the first Solana India hackathon to get my first hands dirty on it. Afterwards, then again, I was staying in the ecosystem for a bit, and I was also like in the last 6 months of my contract in my Web2 job, which I didn't want to kind of extend. Fortunately, there were a few grants opening up at Super Team, and I want to kind of apply for it. So the first grant was much more than what I would get in my Web2 job, like in a couple of months. So that was my first shift towards entering the Solana ecosystem. After that, it was much greater in terms of quantum shift. I got noticed within the Super Team community. Then also getting like a full-time job at Chingari, leading the Web3 team there. Also was fortunate to land in the realm of investments as well. All of them was like a very stepwise manner every 6 months. And of course, in crypto, it can get very saturating. But what was interesting for us to kind of understand through the years was the barrier to entry is much better than before. Before, we used to like sacrifice hundreds and thousands of dollars just on gas fees. But now it's much easier. You can actually build products straight away on mainnet. So that was my biggest learning and takeaway that like everyone should do specifically. Yeah.
All right, so I guess the version on Solana that is equivalent to making your first transaction with Ethereum and paying tuition fees is try and earn your first few $100 on Solana by contributing to some project, because that's a forcing function to learn everything you need to know about the ecosystem, meet as many people as you can. And so it's not really about the money, It's more the forcing function it creates for you to build the social network and the skills that can go from a casual contributor like that 3 years ago to now a founder who's building a decentralized wireless charging infrastructure with a deep in tokenomics. So awesome. I'm going to then, Mario, let you go next and talk a little bit about the opportunities available. By the way, how many of you are looking to get into the Solana ecosystem right now? All right, cool. How many of you are into DeFi? You're already in the Solana ecosystem, presumably, in some way. Interested in DeFi? Okay, great. So Mario, do you want to talk to the folks who are geeking out about DeFi, about why they should be in the Discord that Pyth handles, and more importantly, the opportunities they have to contribute?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of things that we do here is predicated around the idea that we want to make sure that we can support the best builders possible that are potentially going to be using Pyth as well. So I think a couple of months ago, we decided to have this kind of like big grants program that would essentially reward all the contributors, not just within the core contributors group itself, but also at the same time the community, the research and developer kind of like people that are actually contributing outside of the core team at Pyth Data Association or the Duro Labs. So we decided to give out about 50 million in terms of Pyth tokens, and this is going to be dedicated to 3 kind of like branches. Number 1 is going to be the community grants, which is pretty much dedicated for people that are really active on the social media side of things. So Twitter, Discord, and X as well. So we're basically dedicating a certain number of resources basically to make sure that they can support Pyth in the best way possible. And also at the same time, we also dedicate some resources to 2 other branches, which are the developer grants and also at the same time the research grants. So these 2 research and developer grants are more catered towards people that are looking to contribute Pyth, but more so in a bounty kind of way. So we actually partnered with Super Team Earn to basically provide some of these people that are looking to basically get connected and basically start hacking with Pyth as well, to get into the Super Team Earn platform and start actually looking into some of the bounties that we actually have in the platform. And right now, I think we have about 10 to 15 different kind of like bounties in the platform. And yeah, I think pretty much evenly distributed among the research and developer grants. But yeah, like I think we're really excited of this kind of like program and want to make sure that we can also support all the builders that are looking to build with Pyth in the best way possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, that's an example of a project that is dense to most people. I know only 3 people raised their hand, which shows you that it's not highly competed. And so it's not highly competitive. And so you want to be early and in spaces where it appears dense on the outside, but once you get in, there's a lot of these opportunities, not just for folks who are into DeFi, but also folks who are, if you're right-brained and creative, there's bounties for you to do on creating content. If you're left-brained and analytical, there's bounties for you to do on research or technical development. And so this is underpriced, and there's like 40 people here. And so I hope one of you check that out, because it might be your gateway into doing more with Pyth, who have a lot of funds to deploy if they find the right talent. It's earn.superteam.fun. It's a free resource that's a public good that the Solana ecosystem has established. All right, coming to the man of the hour. I know many people will want to hear from you, my friend, as a lot of grant applications are pending or about to be filed. So Shihua, do you want to talk about the most interesting areas that the Solana Foundation is currently funding via the grants program?
Yeah, for sure. Before I answer that question, I'd like to just give an overview of the Solana Foundation grants program. So our mandate is to fund public goods in the Solana ecosystem. Obviously, public goods has a variety of definitions, but in the context of our program, we're looking to fund projects that are open source if they're code, and if they're not code, projects that offer a significant free offering to the Solana ecosystem. And we've had this grants program live since basically the inception of the Solana Foundation, and we're pretty agnostic when it comes to verticals. We fund projects across every different verticals from DeFi to developer tooling and what have you. And some of the areas that I think are most interesting that we're looking to fund right now include deepin projects. Ever since Helium entered the Solana ecosystem, that kind of drove a wave of new companies and projects trying to build in the space. And also projects that are trying to onboard more users in the Solana ecosystem in ways that can only be done on Solana. Is something that we're looking at as well. I say all that to say that if you're building a public in a Solana ecosystem, then the Solana Foundation Grants Program is probably a good area to try to get funded for your work.
Okay, great. Does it help to have any previous reputation credentials in the ecosystem before you apply for one?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of times before builders apply for a grant from the Solana Foundation Grants Program, they would have gone and gotten a grant, or at least tried to apply for a grant from a super team program from where that builder is located, and even from other grants programs such as like the Pyth grants program and things of that nature.
Great. All right. Has anybody here applied for a grant and it's pending? Okay, you all have an answer. Great. So at least you know that you get a response in short order. Does anybody have an idea for a grant that they want to apply for that they haven't applied for yet and are going to do that in this week? All right, we have somebody at the back. Can we get them a mic? Do we have an extra mic? If not, it's a low budget production, so I'm going to run up to you.
So, no question. I was just raising my hand because we have.
Oh, okay, yeah. What is your grant?
Actually, I haven't done a grant application yet, but we just talked about it today, and it's a open book related project. No, we still gathering everything.
All right, fine. We tried. The reason I wanted to do this is because the God is in the details. And if we can use an application as an example of what you could do better to get it approved, I think that would be cool. But that's fine. We can move on to the next segment of this. I want to talk about how to get a job in your respective ecosystems, okay? And what kinds of jobs are available. But before I do that, how many of you identify as sort of more creative marketing growth BD? Right brain? Non-technical, as they say in our ecosystem. Okay, I see all the half-hearted hands going up. All of you are embarrassed. Good, you should be embarrassed. I can't code either, don't worry. How many of you are technical? All right, what is the rest of you doing? All right, split in the middle, can do both, amazing. I can barely get myself to speak English correctly. Okay, so we're gonna try and talk about the job opportunities available because I think that's another valuable thing because most people don't know where to go if they're looking for a highly leveraged full-time job. I think that's a good use of our time. So we can just go in the opposite order, if that's okay. You get to see a lot of the emerging areas that are underpriced, underrated, where people are looking for talent, but because it's not as sexy as DeFi or like project that's already succeeded, there might be opportunities for new people to get in. Do you want to articulate a few areas?
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially in an ecosystem like Solana, where there's a lot of venture funding pouring into new startups, emerging startups that are growing and going up and to the right. These startups that are raising money are usually looking to hire a bigger team to scale their growth. So whether that be BD or technical roles, a lot of times just being in the ecosystem and being connected to the right founders and the right teams can lend itself to huge advantages when it comes to job searching. Like sometimes just based on your relationships, knowing the right founder and having a connection with them and working with them, when the time comes for them to hire, they might think of you as the first person to call and to offer a job to. So that's like one of the ways.
Any specific projects that come to mind?
Yeah, I think what I've seen recently is Circle is hiring a lot at the moment as they're growing and looking to integrate with the Solana ecosystem more. Helium is obviously hiring a lot. Drift just announced their round. They're hiring a lot for technical roles. So yeah, I think.
Yeah, Drift, by the way, is hosting an invite-only happy hour this evening. So if you can find a way to get into that, because that list is full, then you already qualified to be at that place. So
yeah,
that's some
exactly.
alpha for you. Also, all these wonderful folks here have contributed funds to organize this whole thing and get in front of you. And they're doing that out of commercial interest because they're trying to get in front of an audience of technically and business-oriented folks. So I know for sure the Pyth folks, of course, we'll talk to Mario about that in a second. But Flash Trade is here. They're hiring. The founders are here. I don't know if Flash Trade founders here, but I do know that the personal conversations I've had, Wormhole is hiring in the region. Cube is an exchange that's based in Chicago. It's hiring in the region because they want to get exposed to traders here. And then Ranger, are the Ranger folks here also started by an ex-Solana FM co-founder who you should talk to. So these are underrated projects. Often you want to find areas in crypto that are not hyper competitive so that you get there early. And if you get there early with a high quality product and engineering team, the results tend to be pretty disproportionate. So, all right, Mario, you get to see DeFi teams because Pyth is like this magnet for DeFi teams. So any teams that are hiring, any open roles at the Pyth foundation itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, let me talk maybe from the Pyth perspective first and then maybe to some other teams as well. So I think for us, we definitely want to continue hiring, definitely do world-class talents, want to continue to bring them into the team. I think in terms of the engineering talent, Doro Labs, which is the labs entity of the Pyth network, which is a contributor to the Pyth network, they're always looking for world-class talents in terms of engineering. So a lot of hiring in that regard. We're also looking to hire into some of the more kind of like ops-related kind of like roles as well. So if you guys are maybe, doing some finance, maybe legal, maybe some of those things, we're also actually looking to hire some of those roles as well. So, and on the foundation side, because foundation is mostly related on the kind of like the non-technical kind of like roles, basically marketing, BD, and all those things. So we also looking to hire a couple of other roles as well. But I think if you are an engineer, you definitely want to take a look into more of the Doro Lab side of things. And whereas for more non-BD or non-technical, you kind of want to look into the Pyth or the Pyth Data Association or the foundation side of things. And I think as well, I think for a lot of the DeFi teams, I think pretty much like what Shihua mentioned here, Drift is hiring. I think I just saw them a few days ago that they're hiring for like a growth strat or growth lead or something like that. I'm not sure if it others as well. Maybe Flash Trade, Camino, Zeta, and a couple others as well. So, but yeah, I think in terms of let's say the Solana DeFi ecosystems, I think as the ecosystem matures and more people are trying to actually get into the ecosystem, I think you're gonna see more job hirings or opportunistic hirings. I think as they come. So I think we definitely, I think in terms of like the community itself, we definitely want to hire the best talents. But then some of the times, these kind of like the best talents that are available, they may not be like any hirings opportunity available. But then, of course, at the same time, there are always exceptions to these things, right? So we definitely want to make sure that we can also do opportunistic hirings for a lot of these people that are really talented, but then we don't really have any hirings for them at the moment. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if you caught those projects, but I would talk to them. A lot of those team members are here, even if the founders are not here. How many of you actively looking for a role in crypto in the Solana ecosystem? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that it? How many of you are actively looking to hire? All right, we have a few. Okay, you guys should meet those guys. Prakash, you just started a company. Are you hiring? And what is the best way for folks to find a good remote job?
Yeah, so we're actually in the middle of Accelerator. We are like 1 week away from the demo day. But even while in the middle of it, we work with close to like a lot of contributors, like liquid teams from Super Team and other communities. So close to like 25 contributors have worked with us. The best personal message from me would be like, start an organic conversation, like anyone, right? Just not just us. Reach out to them and find out what interests you about the team. And then it's much easier to kind of explore a full-time job. That's always works. And also like personally worked best for me. Best way, I think for us personally, what we have observed is that Deepin is still in the early nascent stage, even though we have a lot of successful projects like Helium, HiveMapper. The messaging is also like a bit of struggle for us. But of course, if you can help us tell a good story, we are straight up opening up contributorship with us. And of course, full-time job is never out of question with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're either leveraged by code or content. And if you can figure out which one you're leveraged by, there's an infinite number of opportunities within just talking to the three of them, if you can find them on the sidelines. We have 9 minutes, which the remainder of which I want to bequeath back to you. But before we do that, if anybody in the audience wants to ask questions, then we'll go for as many as until the questions get like boring for the rest of the group. Okay? So we'll do this rapid fire style. I will now be your mic holder. So if you have questions
Akshay.
for the gang, okay, great. Well, thank you very much. All right, there we go.
Ben from Hitaro Labs.
I have been working on a Solana watch for almost 1 year, and then there is several things that I try to apply for a grant. There is a Solana mobile stick, we know that, and then we want to make it onto Wear OS. So how do I start to apply for such a grant?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
We are making a Solana watch, so that we know that for the Saga phone, there is a Solana mobile stack. Yeah, we want to apply it on the Wear OS, and then interact with all kinds of gesture, and then situation only happen on the watch, not on our phone. How to start with that?
Yeah, you can apply for a grant through solana.org/grants. And in your application, I think there are a couple of things that you want to highlight. You want to talk about what your project is, why it's a public good, based on the definition that I described earlier, why you're the team that's fit to build this project. And also, one of the most important questions is why Solana, right? A lot of projects can choose other ecosystems, but what makes this project uniquely fit to be built in the Solana ecosystem? So I think when you're filling out your application, focusing on those things and making sure you have good answers for those really will set you up for success and a further conversation with someone internally.
Yeah, by the way, that's an awesome idea, but it also sounds like a private company that's for profit. And it's going to be hard.
We're actually just making a protocol with different available appliance.
Right. But usually the cop out a lot of times when we see grant applications is what should be a full stack consumer product gets reduced to a public goods thing where we'll build the protocol, someone else will build the application, and that's often hard to say yes to because actually the truly like breakthrough entrepreneur will build the whole stack. And that usually ends up winning. So we've seen this sort of like movie play out in other sort of verticals. That's worth keeping in mind. That is not to say that in this specific case that our grant application won't be approved or not. That's not my call, also not my competence. It's just something I'm flagging as just something to keep in mind as you apply for that. All right, do we have any other folks who want to ask questions?
I had a question on Pyth, because you're kind of building an entire ecosystem. Okay. If you can just, and I've got a similar project, which is so if you can just quickly share what's been your funding journey like and how have you all sort of scaled up that ecosystem?
Okay, I think in terms of funding, we've definitely had a couple of fundings in the first place. So the project initially was incepted back in April 2021. And I think after that, pretty much it has transformed over the past couple of years into this kind of like project that you actually see now. So, I mean, in terms of the journey itself, I think there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of ups and downs, especially I think we saw what happened back in 2022 with a lot of the things happened with FTX and everything else. Pyth also got severely impacted because of those things. But then I think because we kept persevering with, of course, the Solana ecosystem, but then also with other couple ecosystems as well, we basically managed to survive pretty much throughout 2023. And I think I believe that we did the airdrop back in November of 2023, and that pretty much kickstarted the whole kind of like the second leg of the Pyth journey from there on. And I think so far the journey has been pretty good. And we'd love to, basically continue the journey moving forward as well. But yeah, like in terms of like the funding, we definitely had a couple of funding rounds previously before. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, one of the interesting debates in the Solana ecosystem right now is, well, airdrops are too much, like they're quote unquote free money to users who might not be interested in holding, and then you have just a bunch of sellers. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have many private rounds, and then these tokens being launched at a high, fully diluted valuation. Where do you fall on that spectrum? And one of the interesting opportunities that has emerged, which is underrated, and not a lot of teams are aware of this, is Echo, which is a way to syndicate your round with a bunch of crypto native angels instead of like tier 2 or tier 3 funds. So you can have a fund lead around, and then you can have a long tail of 50 to 100 to 2,000 angels invest small checks in you because they're likely to be users or contributors of your product. So that's something that's worth checking out. I think it's echo.xyz. And that's the best way to access capital from crypto native angels at scale, because it's basically one cap table entry into your cap table if you're raising it on a private company, because they roll up all these folks into an SPV and inject just one entry on your cap table. So that's an interesting one. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Really appreciate your insights and wisdom, and hopefully you will all benefit from having contextual private conversations from this chat. I give you back your 3 minutes and 23 seconds.